Now we're down at Middlesex here to fly Joe Adamusco's brand new stunt ship, never been flown, never been in the air. Notice this hat, I love this hat. Needless to say, Joe bought me one when he was out at the Reno Air Races. 89, oh, hard to believe. Anyway, here's what we're doing. Brand new stunt ship, never been flown.
Virgin.
Gonna try, yeah, virgin. And we have this derelict person here, George Ventrini, doing a photo session. This is going to be on the cover of Flying Models, on the cover of Funeral Directors Annual. We expect to have Jimmy down here. He's sleeping. We were up on a long rebuild of his plane last night, put new controls in, took the 51 out, put the 60 in, put my engine and tank, all my crap, so probably today the nose will fall off the plane. Anyway, Joe's getting set up. We're going to try to get a couple of test flights on it. We'll try to shoot a little bit of video, try to walk you through the trim session, just to see how what's involved in Joe's new design. Never been flown, right, Joe?
Never flown.
And this is a brand new design, so we don't know what to expect. It's probably balanced close to where it should be. And needless to say, it's an absolutely beautifully buffed out, beautiful model. This is the one he had at the stunt forum. I really have some high expectations here. Make a nice Spitfire. Anyway, we'll get set up here and see what we see. Was this way, Joe?
Someplace. Extremely nose heavy. What a difference. What a difference in technology.
Oh, yeah. You have full-length lines on this, Joe?
70 feet, center of the handle, the center of that airplane.
Okay. How much tip weight you put in it? Did you check?
I got 1.5 ounce tip weight. Lead outs are about where my Bucks Deluxe was. Get it to where you like it, because you're going to be the chief test pilot here.
They make me fly it first, so if the bell crank pull, it's probably got one of those Artnowski bell cranks.
Stay right there and I'll do a little pull test.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's test it. And what we did, we took one flight, I flew it one time, and we recorded all our impressions. The first impression of the plane is it's very nose heavy. It's bottom heavy. In other words, it's always flying with the outboard tip up. And we want to get some of the nose weight out. The muffler that he has on there is very restrictive. We're going to switch mufflers and start playing musical chairs, and we're going to try to change the spinner and the muffler. So, after one flight, this is a good idea to just record the things that you think could be changed. And what's nice, if you have somebody in your area that's good at trimming planes, obviously you live next door to Woolwich or Walker or Hunt or somebody, get somebody that's very good at trimming planes to do it for you. Why, you know, why bust your ass? It's, you know, like they say in mason work, the work is hard enough. Don't make it any harder. Anyway, we're going to get Joe to change all the hardware on the nose. Another thing, too, when a plane is bottom heavy, we could take the wheel pants off. You could move the wheel pants closer up toward the wing. That would help. The vertical CG on this plane is that it is very bottom heavy, but right now nose heavy is the first thing we're going to work on.
It'll hurt me.
Now Joe has just want to show this on a video. Joe made up one of these, I don't know, whatever they call pro stunt boxes. Jeff Stifel was the one who originally came up with this idea. It's foam rubber for working on a plane, and obviously, because we're going to be working on this, we'll leave it right out at the field with all the trim stuff while we're doing the trim session here. Nice idea, very handy to have. You just can flip the plane over in it, do your work on it. You don't wind up with a bunch of problems. Try and have guys hold it, and they all have long fingernails and watches with big, you know, Italian jewelry, shall we say. Mike Rogers with the big ring, MR all over the tail of your plane every time he launches it. Yeah, the main thing is the muffler, Joe. Let's get rid of that muffler number. Okay, now two of the things, actually three things by putting a tongue muffler on here for the next flight. Three things will happen. It'll use more fuel, so the engine will run cooler. It'll kill some of the bottom weight, which is what we're trying to kill, and we're trying to get rid of some of the top weight. By the way, one of the things a good idea to do on a Tiger, Joe, see those little lips on the back plate? Yeah. Good idea to pull that off that cone and just grind them off. What happens, the spinner rides on that, and a lot of times that causes it to slip, unless you have the back plate knurled out too. All right, we're going to try to get a lighter spinner on there too. And
25-year-old Fox spinner, back plates drilled out.
All drilled out, great. Of course, the choices you have, yeah, that's nice, that's good.
I use this on my U2.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Just get it as light as possible. If you have an aluminum nut, use an aluminum nut instead of a steel nut.
Yeah, that'll be...
You can even machine these things a lot more. You could even thin them out. I've done that too.
Get this out of the way. Take the cowling off.
All right, after the second flight, we have two choices now. The tongue muffler worked out fine. We can go to an even lighter tongue muffler, which I have in the box. We can still, it's still nose heavy, so we would like to get a lighter plastic spinner. We don't have one with us, so we're going to put some clay on a tail. Now we have to fix the ratchet on the, what happens with Max needles, when the ratchet is too tight, you go to turn it, nothing, it goes 4 clicks, nothing. So you want to get it that it just ratchets 1 click at a time. That's the next change. Joe's making the changes now over with the, whatever you want to call it, his little pad box here. I don't think I have a plastic spinner in the truck, but I'll take a look while you're doing it. It'd be nice if we had, you know, they make them white, black, red. Lampion has the name of that company, too. That's 2-inch?
Yeah, 2-inch.
Now what we're doing for Joe is recording it all the changes we're making and the logic behind it on little, you know, jip notes here, in sequence. And because we're going to be working on Jimmy's plane later today, so we don't want to get confused. It gets confusing when you're trying to trim 2 planes at once. If you have it written down and you have the video record, you have a real good shot of getting this. And it's really a big help, at least for Joe, that this field is right about in the middle of our two, you know, commutes. So we each commute an hour and we can get together for a day like this. Be real helpful. And this plane is flying very well after 2 flights. Almost guaranteed we're going to get this trimmed out by the end of the day or before the air goes bad. Okay, the 4th flight, what we did is trying to get real close to the CG now, a 1/2 ounce more clay on a tail. We opened up the down part of the handle. We're going to move this 1 notch over. It's turning a little tighter inside than outside, so that'll hopefully make up for that. And we're going to try putting a 1/4 ounce more tip weight on here, just to see that we're at the point. It's real close now, but just to see that we're not, you know, we're not on the light side tip weight wise. The air is still dead. You can't even drive through your own maneuvers here. So Joe's moving the gear back too. I'll put that on a notepad too. Gear all the way back. He had it in the grass position. Moving the gear back will be definitely better as far as, you know, getting the front to back balance point the way it should be. The nice thing about the fuse mounted gear, tick, 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 and it's done. Always put more than 1 set of blind nuts in there, so you have a set for grass and a set for, you know, flying off pavement like this. Yeah, that'll help. Moving the gear back and moving the gear closer to the body will help too. See, you originally had this set up so you could put a tune pipe in here, but obviously we're running a normal muffler, so. You get any sleep last night? We had the all-night ass-kicking, replace the control system, motor, tank. Is there any part that was on there yesterday? New plane. All right, totally. Now we have a cameraman. We can start recording some flying.
Okay, we're going to catch some flights of the Stuntress, Joe Adamusco's new airplane. Wendy Yurtnowski doing the initial diagnostic tests on the plane today. visible was already some tail weight on the plane and some tip weight. And the proud creator, Joe Adamusco.
He's smiling too.
Okay, we'll try try to catch the landing on here. We've repositioned the landing gear, and it might be important to see if the plane noses over at all, or which way the gear's tracking. I'll get as close as I can on it.
You don't like
Okay, now this will be the 5th flight. Joe's going to test it exactly as I've flown it, and then what we're going to do is start taking tail weight out until it's comfortable for him. Looks like it's reasonably close now. We'll get some feedback how it feels for him as far as handle setting and CG go. Don't even touch the needle. Leave the needle right where it was. The heck with it.
Fly it fast till it gets comfortable.
Okay, the next change we're going to make, flight number 6, Joe is just going to switch from the braideds to the solids. And we're going to start trying to get the handle adjusted. Once we get the handle adjusted, we're going to start trying some different props on there. And we're pretty close. We've kind of got this kind of ballparked in 6 flights. And from this point on, it'll just be trying to dial a plane into Joe. Okay, this is flight number 6. Joe put on a 70-foot solids. He's got the solids with the handle pretty much a mirror image of what we started with. We got the Brian Ether 12.5 5 2-blade on here. It slows the plane down a little bit. And 10% fuel on this flight, so we got a little bit of a reference here. Now what may be or may not be a help to people, I know some people, they call up and they have a trim problem with the plane. And when I ask them, usually, where does the plane balance? Does it balance where the plans show? Yeah, okay. But they don't get the vertical CG right. They don't plumb bob it like we did on the last tape. If you watch the last tape, I tried to show the old plumb bob trick. Joe did not do that on this. And this plane still has more weight on the bottom of the plane than on the top. The reason we put the clay up on the rudder. So we hope by the end of the day now we can work with props, fine-tuning, getting it to suit Joe's needs. This is really only the 2nd flight he had on it. Plane flies good and solid, seems real nice, flies at the right speed. Doesn't look like it has any kind of resonant vibration problem so far anyway. The Big Jim Tiger 51 is just puffing along here. I love the way the elliptical wing looks in the air. Really has that Spitfire look. It's like it needs a brassiere. Anyway, from this point on, all of the adjustments are going to be little fine-tuning things that basically be gearing around a prop. Probably wind up with a 300 Venturi. This has a 283 right now. 300 seems to be the right number anyway. It looks like this prop is real friendly. We may not even have to go any further with the prop for today. And what he's going to try to do to get some of the weight off the bottom of the plane is lighten up the landing gear. Get the wheel pants closer to the body. There's plenty of prop clearance here. It's got that nice top on the hourglass, nice and smooth. And for the first day out, we've really gotten a lot done here, actually. It's a short day. I have to leave at 2 o'clock, and I'll leave these guys here to their own poison. I have a social engagement with the governor this afternoon and my wife, so tomorrow we're going to try to get out to Flushing Meadow, get some flights, get Mike to fly Tsunami, get Mike to give us some more feedback. He's been a big help so far. Getting all the little kinks out of Tsunami. It's always good to have more pilots eyeing the plane and looking for things to correct. Jimmy's been a big help. We're going to work on Jimmy's plane later as soon as Joe gets dialed in here. Joe Adamusco having the day of his life, the stuntress. Naked women forever. What'd you say, Joe? You want to sell that for $100? I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. How's it feel?
Great. I need a little more speed, though, I feel.
All right, go in a click or two on the needle.
Okay.
Don't forget that's 10% fuel.
You didn't get a time on that, did you? 7:35. That's okay. I know. I got some things.
Well, we're on flight number 16 today, and this is really starting to trim out to be a nice airplane. Joe's real happy with it. We're hiding in the shade here. We can't go out in the sun anymore. It's terrible. The heat is really hot here. We're up over 90 on my little thermometer, and it is a hot. Everybody's hiding under the trees behind me. Turned out to be a real productive day trimming Joe's plane. Really productive. And I hope this, this information gets of some value to you. Or even if you don't intend to do this, if you can see how other people do it. It gives you a reference, give you some ideas, and obviously you're always, in need of some help. Dial a phone, write a letter. The way the construction business is going by the house, you never know when I'm going to be home, but if I'm home, and you can always get me, and if I am home, you can always write a letter too, and I answer all the mail the same day, of course, so either way. This has really actually been a very easy plane to trim out. And because he's using Taffender fuel, the motor runs are real consistent. Got a Brian Ether 12.5 5 prop on a 51, which is a real nice combination. It looks like he's real happy with the, the trim we've got. Took about half of the amount of clay off the tail to dial it in and close down the handle from the setting I had, but now it's an individual thing to dial it into his reflexes and his flying level and whatever.
didn't put the spacer behind the tank, so a little further away.
Oh, you need a long piece of tubing. I bet you're not happy at all, Joe.
What's that?
Bet you're not happy at all.
Why?
Plane looks terrible.
Did it?
You better put it back in the car. Lenny Melita's new Cardinal, brand new, from a kit. What's going on? See that? I'm taking pictures of my wife fooling around with Joe Ortiz.
Come on, Wendy.
Yeah. See you later. Watch it, Joe. She'll spend all your money.
Tell us how you did it.
Actually, I did.
Joe, did you paint that toolbox?
No, I got a guy in
It has a safety lock on it, so Puerto Ricans can't steal my tools while I'm in Flushing. See, they can't figure out how to open a toolbox.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, a Puerto Rican that can't steal tools. No wonder you starved to death.
Hey, I'm a good Puerto Rican.
There is no good Puerto Rican.
I haven't got one yet.
The only good Puerto Rican is one back in Puerto Rico.
All the good ones are
All the good ones stay there, you're right.
You want a toolbox painted like that? I'll give you the right price, Joe. Just give me your car.
This is the guy that's going to do it. It is nice.
And you can put as much clear on as you want. Laugh, the owners love it. You can dip it and decoupage it.
Very nice box.
I don't know what happened.
Lenny, tell us about the Cardinal.
Great airplane.
65 ounces.
Great airplane.
You're gonna Super Tiger 51.
Having a forward.
Yeah, good. In case Mike Rogers crashes tsunami today, I can take it to the Nats.
Hey, Jimmy, you're going to have to put little legs on this. Where do you see him fly? He flies in pretty good.
Well, we're going to get it on tape. Hey,
Lenny's got to be a real good flight.
Lenny's an up-and-comer. What's significant here is, hey, if you get some pro stunt guy that builds a nice kit and it flies well, hey, that's good too. But you got a guy that's an up-and-comer doing his first real top-notch finish, doing his M600 sanding, buffing his dope, selling dope to the neighbors, acting like a dope from time to time. All right, killer. Cardinal power. As I said before, it's really significant to me when you get an up-and-coming guy that can just put a kit together like this. He's definitely an up-and-coming flyer. I expect we will see some really nice finishes. He works with Jim Borelli. They're out there sharing all the videotapes, stealing all the tapes, making illegal copies, who knows what. But he's really come a long way. And I think this kit is the living proof that even Even Windy Ertnowski can design a terrible plane that won't fly in the wind or something like that. And one of the nice things about all the guys at Flushing here, I guess you can see if you've watched this or any of the videos, you get a lot of help when you're an up-and-comer. You got Borelli setting the needle, other guys helping you with finishing. Decent quality, help, trimming help, flying lessons, lessons on how to pick up women. All kinds of good stuff happening out here. It's a fun day. We're hoping later on today we're going to go visit Jim Borelli's house. They're having a little family party. It's the day before the 4th of July, and Jim has one special neat workshop. Maybe we'll even get some footage of the workshop that we could sneak in there. Maybe even shoplift a few things that we need for our shop. So Jimmy, watch out. Anyway, his wife Debbie is always a wonderful host. One of the sweethearts of the world of stunt. And I think Peggy and Karen and Debbie are out there now doing their thing. Trying to give us food poisoning so that we can't go flying tomorrow. We have to spend time with the family. But we'll spend it anyway. We don't care. Anyway, copies of Ted Fancher's wonderful letter are circulating all over Flushing Meadow today. People are jumping up and down, wanting to lynch him, hang him, whatever. Who knows what. You missed the wind, Lenny. You missed it. There you go, baby. Hey, what a guy. Soon to be known as Mr. Cardinal Minotta, whatever his name is. Who knows? Does he have a name? Did he change his name? Was his name Windy at one time? Well, you build that big Jim nose section with the 16th doublers, the nice solid mounts. You always get that nice consistent motor run. When you have a beer for breakfast, you always get that great camera eye that you can't follow the plane. Anyway, the response we have gotten to Ted Fancher's letter so far, I mean, this has to go down in the history of stunt. You can't avoid being around stunt people and talking about Ted Fancher's ridiculous letters. And we're threatening lawsuits and bodyguards, and Jose Modesto volunteered to kill a guy today, so we may have to take him up on that. Who knows? Anyway, it's all taken in fun. Don't get excited about it. We're all playing with our toy planes and having fun. And Ted, you can't take a joke, forget about it. Anyway, come on, Lenny. Let it rip. You know, and it's that old thing I always say, when you got up-and-coming guys that can build like a pattern master. You got guys that are working their way up through the advanced ranks, intermediate ranks, and they can build a successful plane. Well, that says a lot about the design. When just a few top-level experts can build a given design and everybody else that builds it, it either comes out too heavy or tail heavy or something, it isn't saying a whole lot for the design. One thing nice now, we have sold over 100 of these kits. And we've got pictures of about 50 or 60 of them, I think, in our little album at home. And we've got video of at least 5 or 6 of them that we actually have seen and flown ourselves, and Midgley's, and now Lenny's, and Larry Barrickman had one at the last Nats. All kind of different powertrains, V-Maxes, 60s. This one has a 51, I believe, but makes me kind of happy with the design, that people are having success with it, and that it's not all expert level people. It's just average people that can just build a plane, have a lot of fun building it, and we hope to see more Cardinals coming out soon. Anyway, Mike Rogers, I see, has arrived on the field. He's going to spend some time working with us trimming Tsunami and hopefully get a flight on it or two himself, give me some feedback. And of course we're still up in the air about whether it's going to be Tsunami or the Red Baron, but boy, it's been that kind of a year. You just can't. It's like having 2 girlfriends and you just can't decide which one to marry. Sometimes it's better to marry them both.
Sides are a little bit on the heavy side, but I didn't think that was the end of the world. You know.
Said it should be like around 40 ounces.
Yeah, well, this is 50. All right.
The way I do it.
Jim Borelli just throws the battery into Tsunami's canopy. Nice, Jim. Jim Borelli. Yeah, we hope we can get out to Borelli's house this afternoon. Check out that workshop, all these secret projects. Concourse winning backyard, who knows what. A man of many talents. A man of many love lives. Loves stunt, loves his wife. Loves goldfish, who knows what he loves. Cardinals, who knows. Anyway.
I'm telling you, if we make a fly the other way, it looks like chicken.
Leave him alone. Bob Lampione, always bullying the new guys on the field. Always a disgrace to the hobby. Always caught picking his nose irreverently between flights. Let's see how he's dressed. I'm afraid to look over there. He's probably got his pantaloons on today. Comes out dressed like a flag, dressed like a bumblebee, dressed like a snake. Who knows? But we love him. Don't think because we harass these people we don't love them. We love each and every one of them. There's only one person in the whole hobby we don't love. I won't tell you who it is. It's not fair. You can figure it out yourself. All right, James. The James gang. Notice the tongue. Put that tongue in your mouth. He's in human street clothes today, ladies and gentlemen. He's in street clothes. Freshly capped teeth, corn growing on his legs. Yeah, let's see the hair on it. Look at this. Just like a, look at the wallet. Look, you know what? Look at this. What? He's got a hole in his, from being so cheap and not.
Holding on to it like right now.
Yeah, hold on to that money. Take your wife out to dinner. Who cares? You don't have a wife? Take 2 wives out. Take my wife out to dinner. Take them all out. This unedited comment by Bumblejinsky.
What happened at the Northwest Regional? Joey.
Another
reminds me of reading a letter from my ex-wife. Our attorney. No shit. We want more money.
Bob Lampione reading Ted Fancher's letter. Just one of many people thrilled to death with the kind of leadership we've had in Tampa the last couple of years.
Let me talk here.
All right, tell us your
Ever
opinion.
see this video, Ted?
And the whole world's going to
I'm
see
actually
it.
very surprised that someone of your caliber would write a letter like this. You've been helpful to me. I would think that both of you could be man enough to discuss this on the phone, this bantering back and forth. It's like you never want to let this thing go. I think this is absurd. I've been out of this hobby for 20 years, and I've got to say that I think it's gone backwards since I've been in it. When we got pissed off at a judge, I just told him, listen, what do you got, shit in your eye? And that was the end of it. And I did that, believe me. And I never was penalized for it, and I'm a better man for it, and so is the judge. Because sometimes I wonder what a judge is looking at. And sometimes he needs to be put on the straight and narrow. I think you've gone too far with this thing, much, much too far. And if you'd like to discuss this with me personally, feel free to give me a call, Ted.
I'll send Ted a copy out as soon as I get home.
And there'll be no threats or anything. I think
Keep in mind, Ted, this guy's in the mafia. Bob Lampione has criminal connections in the mob.
And I sign off on that note. I got to go to work today.
Go to work, yeah. Yeah, Uncle Luigi needs you to guard the pizza parlor, huh?
I'll tell you, that's pretty strong.
Listen, you guys, this is a great joke. Mitch is going over to tell Don Patterson. This is Don Patterson. Don is kind of a cool guy, one of the guys we love. And he's got a $50,000 custom car here. So what I did, I went over and took the windshield wipers off the car. And Mitch is going over to tell him. Mitch is telling him right now that you better go check your car. Some black guys were over there pulling the windshield wipers off. So when he goes over to check his car, we're going to videotape him. Yeah, babe, they were screwing with your car, Don. Well, they pulled your wipers off. Oh, it's terrible. Model, and it's murder. Anyway, Don doesn't know we're just having fun with him, and he doesn't know that we're videotaping him, so... Yeah, Mitch, make it sound good. These black guys, they steal everything. It's terrible. Go get them. Go get them.
Did he say how come when you guys stopped?
Now, here's Don walking toward his car. This is like hidden video. Here's Don. Don is very nervous about this car.
Tell him the same 2 black guys came in the other gate and left with the plane.
Yeah. Now hide his plane. This is his car.
Actually, we should steal that.
I'm hiding behind Jim Damarel here. This is terrible. Let's see what they did to his car. Oh, I hate black guys. They always screw up my car. What happened, really, Don just had his car stolen and demolished, and he had a $5,000 worth of damage. He just got the car back today. So he's not happy about any of this. Let's see what... Oh, black guys are jogging by. Uh-oh, he's putting the wipers back down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see. Oh, there's a bush noise. Son of a bitch, there's a bush noise. Watch, you'll probably see if the battery's still there. The wheels are all on. The hubcaps are on. Oh, this is terrible. What's he doing? Is he over there opening up the hood?
Did you tell the guys put a banana in the exhaust pipe? Like the Eddie Murphy movie?
Well, there's about 9 exhaust pipes on this car. You need a whole bunch of bananas.
One of a kind. That guy being bushy.
We have way.
The bush is in the way.
I got all excited.
Must be a black bush.
Now, because he just had his car stolen, ripped off, the paint job was ruined, the wheels were ruined. This is terrible. Don, I'm going to send you a copy of this video. You know, the real reason they did this to Mike Rogers, we were in a restaurant and it was pouring rain and Jeff Stiefel went out and stole his windshield wipers. And then we videotaped him as he went out to his car. And we'll go over and tell Don what mean bastards we are now. Seriously though, we love this guy. This is one of our favorite people. Hey, bada bing! Where the hell you been? Where you been? Where you been? I didn't see you all day. How come you're not flying?
I am.
Hey, nice wheels. Those you got from the stolen car scam that you pulled?
Wow.
No,
Nice
somebody
car.
fucked around and put my, I don't know, I thought, what's his name came over. Somebody pulled up the windshield wipers.
Yeah, there was some black guys here playing with this car before. I thought it was your car. I knew it was your car because of
They
the
were
wheels.
playing with what?
They had the hood open and everything.
Oh, yeah, right.
They had the wheels off. Don, it's a joke.
But my phone was ringing.
Ah!
My phone was ringing.
Say hello to the camera. We had you on camera the whole time. Roast us.
Back to Sunday at Flushing. Wendy Yurtnowski and the Tsunami, second flight of the day. And try to get some video from dead upwind. The critics are on hand.
Who said they don't let Mexican immigrants in the country? Look at this. Big Jim Greenaway with the Mexican hat.
Hey, Ted, guess who's coming to dinner?
Hey, Ted! Ted, hide! Hide! Jim is here! Oh, no!
Remember they played the
Hey, listen, I'll have some fajitas.
John Wayne, they gotta pay me too.
I'll have some fajitas and a Taco Bell.
You got it.
As he said in the camera as he started taking a picture of you with that hat on.
Let's see the top of the hat there. Look at this margarita head.
You didn't put a needle valve on it the last time.
Nice hat.
Yeah, those chewed up needle valve with the coffee all over it.
Mike Rogers now taking a flight on the Tsunami to check the trim, so Wendy can get a check from outside the circle, and a video record. Just for your record, Wendy, we're getting the battery light. Mike Rogers now with a test flight on the Red Baron. Wendy has just brought it out of the truck and given it a try. We're doing side-by-side comparisons with Tsunami.
anybody watching is what we're trying to do is have Mike evaluate both of the planes, and it's pretty obvious he likes this one better than the other one. This is a fly-off for seeing which plane is going to go to the nats, and we'll go over and see if we can get the big man to give us some input. He'll probably hate both of the planes and say, buy an Edsel.
As long as he doesn't say buy a tune pipe.
Yeah. It's hard not to like this plane. It's hard for you not to like it. He's got a 5-inch handle, and my handle's less than 4. I thought you'd be able to turn the handle down.
Fly the plane, matey. Fly the plane. Use one arm. Aye.
Okay, this is the last flight of the day. Mike's flying a Red Baron with a 4-inch easy just. His 5-inch handle was too big. My handle is even smaller than his. This looks even too big for him. He's not used to flying a plane that has a violent corner or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Mike's been a big help though, so I can't holler at him. Done a good job helping me. And we have made the decision. It's official now. The Red Baron will be the #1 plane going to the Nats. We're going to leave next week or whenever, 2 weeks, I don't know. We got an awful lot of housework left to get in order though, so we're going to try to get all that housework in order. Get out the week before, fly every night, every morning, whatever, get prepared. And when we get back from the Nats, spend some more time trimming out tsunamis. Still a long way to go on that trim. And there's a message here. One of the messages is when you have a plane that's 3 or 4 years old, in this case this one is 5 years old, you ultimately do get it trimmed just the way you want it. You spend enough time and enough hours and enough line clips and whatever. You wind up, and I hope that the video presentation that you've seen that we've gone through so far with Tsunami has been a big help. Hope you get some ideas as to exactly how we go about doing it. And our way certainly has worked half well for us anyway. Reasonably well. Anyway, after this we're going to go over to Joe Ortiz's shop, and then we're going to go to see Jim Borelli's shop. Maybe if we have some battery left, we'll get both of those on video. Now, the last time we flew this plane, we were testing the hollow carbon prop, and it worked real well, but Mike wanted to fly to wood today to get his feel so it would simulate pretty much what his plane flies like. But when we go back to fly, we're going to obviously give both of them a shot, and obviously we'll try both of them when we get to Texas.
That's what he said. Maybe he wants to fly a Contour 49. I don't know.
No, it's fine. Just wanted to show we're over at Joe Ortiz's house, and this is the rack he built. This is a Vic Macaluso Sequoia that he bought from Vic at the, I guess, what'd you buy it, after the stunt for him?
Yeah.
And some of the planes that he's storing here is Magnum, planes he had at the field today. Anyway, what a nice idea. This is right in his bedroom too, check this out. What'd you do, make the bed? Hard to believe. Anyway, this is Buddy. For anybody who doesn't know Joe Ortiz, I've never been to Joe Ortiz's house. How much does Buddy weigh, 18 pounds?
18 pounds.
Holy mackerel. Buddy, bite Ted, bite Ted, bite Ted, bite Ted. Anyway, just wanted to show you but Joe's little empire of stun here. It's nice. We're going to head out to Borelli's for a little bit of a party. This is it, man. The killer cat, the killer rack for planes. Way to go, Joe. Now, one of the unique things, we're up in Joe's apartment here, is we have to watch the van at all times. Because what did they do? Steal your stuff one time, Joe? Yeah, they ripped all it. Yeah, when you had your van, they ripped all your stuff off. Unbelievable. In fact, maybe I'll go downstairs and watch the van from downstairs. Gotta watch it. It's New York City.
Oh, it was nice. I didn't have to touch the valve, but I one little flip.
Now we're at the house of Jimmy Borelli after our day of flying, and we just want to do a little walking around, see the guy's shop, see his house, make fun of him, humiliate him, degrade him. All his trophies. Well, look at what he's got here. Oh my God. Cute. Cute. Very cute.
I can't believe you.
Look at this kitchen.
I can't believe you
Now it's true that Jimmy buffs his plane out on this floor. Look at this house. Check this out. Clean-o-matic. Where's everybody? Outside? All right. So you never get a chance to meet superstars like Jim Borelli. This is Jim Borelli's family. Oh, and they all want to be on TV. Look at this. Oh, yes they do. Come on, guys.
Absolutely.
There's to be no liquor at this party.
This is a...
There'll be no liquor at this party, James, right? Is that what I say?
No liquor here.
No. This is only a Diet Coke.
What?
Picture of Lena's shoes. They're not the right
Lena's shoes. Where are the shoes?
No, not today.
Taking pictures of shoes, hard to believe. Check this backyard. He originally wanted to have a flying circle, but he opted for the terraced landscape look. Superstar Jim Borelli.
I have more peach.
Now we got another test prop from Walt Prey. This is made with 13-4 AHM blades. What we're going to try to do later today, if you look around real close here, you can see it looks like we're going to have a thunderstorm any minute now, but usually right after a thunderstorm we can get a flying session in. So we're going to run down to Middlesex, try to get a session on this prop, and obviously then go into the same thing we did in the last video as far as trimming the blades and seeing just how much blade this will turn. Now because these blades are a lot thinner, these are a tremendous amount thinner than the rev-ups, we should be able to run a lot more diameter, and again we're going to try it at 13 first and then work our way down. Just to mention things too, how do you like that garden? My wife's busy with her gardening. Oh my God, look at this, flowers everywhere, rock gardens everywhere. Just show off here a little bit. Anyway, one of the things we want to try this on both of the airplanes, even though this is probably going to be the backup airplane. We really want to give this a shot on both planes, and as I said, if we don't get any session in today, we expect to see Joe Adamus go down the field tomorrow, and maybe we can even try this on his plane too. Now Walt Prey said he's going to be making these commercially very soon. Now we waited this thing out for a couple hours already, and it looks like it's going to be a washout tonight as far as getting to test our props. And as always happens, right before the Nats, you get the weather goes bad, and my wife's car didn't start this morning, and we're into that mode. Now I just want to put this address on the video, as I know Walt, at least so far, he says he's interested in making these commercially, and the workmanship is first class, obviously. Another thing too, the 13-4 blades just seem to make a really good prop. We did get a test session in this afternoon despite the weather, and believe me, that's going to be a winning prop. Once that's developed and clipped and trimmed up a little bit more, we expect to definitely be using that in the future. Now here's one of the recurring problems. Every year that goes by I must get, oh God, 40 or 50 letters on a problem that happens to everybody. There's no way you can avoid it. And the problem is, hey, it's very humid and I can't stop the paint from blushing. And what we want to do a little touch-up work on Jim Damerel's plane here before we get ready to load up for the Nats. And one of the things that we know we're going to run into the last couple of days, the humidity's been unbelievable. We've had thunderstorms and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I thought what I'd do is put a little dissertation on how to avoid blushing. That seems to be one of the major problems that most people face. Now, like I said before, every year must be 50 people write in at least. And here's the problem. You're painting, it's raining out, it's humid like it is right outside. We want to work on Jim Damerel's plane, and it's so humid you can't paint. Okay, what can you do? These are the things you can do to try to make it a little bit better. First, you can understand what's actually happening. If this is the paint and you spray on lacquer and you want to paint this surface, what happens as you spray it, lacquer, as it's going through the air, dries into a little golf ball looking microscopic ball. So some of it actually dries before it actually hits the surface. And here's what happens. If you were to look at this under a microscope, you'd see it was all little ping pong balls. That's why lacquer is a porous surface. It's not really a waterproof surface. Anyway, what happens as you increase the pressure and make the paint thinner, the balls get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. If you've ever noticed,
where the wing and fuselage join, if you spray light coat, it gets to be 80 grit sandpaper, and you have to sand it all down. And when you sand it, you notice little air pockets, little moon craters. Okay, what's actually happening there is a significant thing. If you understand this, everything else will fit into place. Lacquer dries in midair to a certain degree. It forms a little bubble, a little ball. Then it hits, it's still in a liquid state, and it dries almost instantly, sometimes within a minute or two. So the things you can do, the term normally used is orange peel. It dries to a rough, pebbly surface. The first thing to understand, if you want to avoid that foggy, milky looking color, what's happening? What's happening is you're spraying on the lacquer and it's skinning over on the top like a piece of saran wrap, and inside are these 1,000 little globules that haven't dried up yet, and because they've gone through the air, they've sucked up moisture, just like a bathroom window gets wet. So you have this moisture. The lacquer is dope and lacquer, by the way, we deal with the same thing. They're drying on the surface, and you've trapped that moisture. Now it has nowhere to go. So it just becomes that cloudy, milky surface that you hate. Now, things you can do. The most obvious thing is make the paint thinner. Up to a certain degree, you can make the paint thinner. Then you have to go to a thinner that takes longer to dry. Medium temperature thinner. When that doesn't work, you have to go to retarder or high gloss thinner. These typically take 4 to 8 hours to dry. The problem with using high gloss thinner, there's a problem with it. As it's taken a long time to dry, that thinner is going down into all your substrate, glue joints, swelling wood, all kind of bad things can happen when you use high gloss thinner. You can ask Bill Rich about high gloss thinner. High gloss thinner has its place in a hobby, and it's not for what you would think it would be for the final coat of clear. If you make it too thin, or you use high gloss thinner to make the mixture too thin, by the time it dries, your ink lines will be crooked, your lettering edges will all be ripply. Not a good idea. So the first concept to have in mind is you're going to either use more thinner or a little bit longer drying thinner, and as a last resort, retarder. But there's another way to get around it. Now, I'm painting in this cellar now. This is quite a while I've been painting in here, and I've noticed I bring down George Ventrini's 2 fans the day I'm going to paint. I set them up at 7 o'clock in the morning, one blowing in and one blowing out. And within 2 or 3 hours, I can paint down here because I've taken all the humidity out of the cellar. The humidity that's in the air from the washing machine and bathroom and everything, it's all outside now. That's one way. I can run all the air conditioners in the house. What I'll do is I'll turn all the air conditioners on and leave the cellar door closed, leave the cellar door open, and just exhaust the fan out. So I'm bringing all that dry air in from upstairs. That's another way. To actually take the moisture out of the air is, of course, the best thing. So, with this in mind, if you have an idea what's happening, why it's happening, and how it's happening, you have a fighting chance of getting over it. But if you go too far, if you start right with the first mix, with super high gloss thinner, and you blow it on and it takes 8 hours to dry, by the end of the 8 hours, your wood could delaminate from the foam, your fillets will all be bubbled, your ink lines will have, they'll look like a twisted road. The idea is to get a balance between the paint drying. Less pressure is better because the less pressure you're throwing in the air, the smaller the globules are, the less moisture they pick up. So, low pressure is a good idea. Air condition the room. Fan it if you can. Obviously, or just wait for a day when there's no humidity in the air, low humidity. You can buy these little meters for about $7 that tell you how much humidity is in the air. And you can mark on it. Let's just make a number up. I don't use one, but I know body shops have them. They can measure the humidity in the air. And they can say, oh, beyond 50%, we have to add some retarder. At 70% humidity, we have to add a lot of retarder. They have numbers like that. You really don't need that in modeling. But what you do need is to understand that concept, and it's an important concept. In fact, just to emphasize a little more, I'll spend a few minutes and make a little drawing in case I'm not clear. Once you have that understanding, you should be able to paint in anything but pouring rain. And under the worst of conditions, you should be able to get, like we're going to hopefully get Jim's plane touched up before we go to the Nats. And it's been thundering and raining for the last 2 days, so on and off, it's up around 90% humidity. But if you have that idea in mind, then you have the worst of all worlds is to be painting in direct sunlight. If you take the plane outside and you say, oh boy, I'll paint right in direct sunlight, and that surface is hot, what happens as soon as the paint hits that surface, it dries instantly, and you've trapped all that moisture. So if you possibly can, paint in the shade if it's hot. Never paint in direct sunlight, and never take a plane that's freshly painted and put it out in the sun. You'll get bubbles and blisters, and you can't force dry lacquer. You can hit it with a hair dryer real quick, just a little bit to get it to skin over, if there's no humidity or very low humidity. But you can't take it like they do in a body shop and use heat lamps and blow that paint on. It just, you don't have the technique. Nice looking spray gun. Anyway, just to make this point. Okay, I'm trying to make this. Here's what's happening. When you're spraying this, even though it looks like it's a solid stream, this is really a lot of dots, and I'm just going to go through this real quick. And usually where you get the heaviest buildup is where any kind of a surface joins, where a wing joins a fuselage. Then out here it'll get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little better. But what's really happening, if you looked, that old thing I just said, if you look at under a microscope what this surface looks like, yeah, you have your substrate surface, and it's really under a really, probably magnified 1,000,000 times or something. But if each one of these layers of lacquer don't get to dry, what'll happen is down in here, maybe there's some moisture here, the more there's trapped little bits, and once that skins over, the moisture can't get out. What's even worse is like on a foam wing plane, now the moisture goes down into the wood, and usually the wood will then start to swell a little bit. So two bad things are happening here. You're getting that skin over, and you're trapping the moisture. Obviously there's weight in this. Now another thing too, a lot of people, they always have trouble with finishes. They put on a certain amount of finish and they can't understand where the weight is. Well, water is very heavy. When you trap a couple extra spoonfuls of water in your finish, figure it out. The way to get around this, 20 pounds per square inch, minimum thinner to avoid blush. Try to use the minimum amount. That's the trick. Put a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit. Now, lacquer, acrylic lacquer is a little bit better than dope. But if you start spraying with 40 pounds a square inch, this thickness doubles. So now you've trapped twice as much moisture in there. Spray even more, like people, they think they're gonna save something. They spray at 50 pounds because it dries nice and quick. They get a nice big coat on all at once. Well, you make it even thicker. Every time you up the pressure, you up the skin thickness, and you increase the possibility that you're going to trap. All this moisture is now inside the finish. The only place it can go, down into the wood, the foam, air, wherever it's going. It's not going to do you any good. So if you think about all those things that I just said, that give you a lot of food for thought on what would be worth sometime that's the key to the whole thing, is just wait. And that's what we're going to do with Jim Damerell's repair job. We're just going to wait because it is pouring out there, and I don't think there's any chance we're going to get it to go on without blushing. There's just a couple more tips for doing this kind of stuff. What we have, there's a couple of spots on Jim's plane. Now it's an old plane, of course. It's been flown a lot. Typically, spots are around the hinge lines. There'll be some spots. There'll be a few spots up here where the trailing edge is always, and always a few, where you rub through. Either from buffing or the paint just plain. In the case of my plane or even Tsunami, there's so little paint on it that there's buff throughs almost instantly. Now, you want to touch these up. What you really want to do, one of two ways to do this. Let's go through this in a way that I think you can put this information to use real quick. M600, get off all the oil. And what I mean is just keep rubbing, throw the towel away, rubbing, throw the towel away, rubbing. Eventually you're going to get that dry. A second choice is baking soda. Grind it in like it's rubbing compound. Buff the plane out with baking soda. That acts like kitty litter. It pulls up some of the oil. There's other mediums, and I don't know what they are, but they're sold at places that do electronic equipment. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but they're made to clean electronic parts. Cellar, by the way, has some of this stuff. It looks like orange juice. You rub that on the surface,
Keep rubbing it, throw the towel away, keep rubbing, throw it. Eventually, what you need is a clean, oil-free surface. Now, one of the tricks, one of the things that'll be real handy for you to use, let's say you have a plane. And right in the middle of it, you've buffed through. Here's this spot right there, and you want to touch that up. Well, one of the good things to do, take a piece of paper, and in the middle of the paper, and just like I'm doing right now, don't make it fancy. The more rough you make the surface, the better it is. Tear that hole out so it's a rough surface. You don't want to have a circle. A circle you're going to see. Okay, and if we ever do get to touch Jim's plane up, we're going to use this technique. Hold it right around, and of course the circle can be bigger and bigger. Get an airbrush or a small spray gun, touch-up gun, and just get the middle of it. Now you're going to have a little bit of overspray out here. Okay, now take another one and make one a little bit bigger. So now the second time you paint it, it's going to go out about that far, and the third one even bigger. So you're doing it in 3 steps. 3 separate little masks. Now, each one gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you look from the side view, you probably have a divot like this. This means that on the first thing, you've filled up half of the divot. Second one, you've probably gone out a little bit. Third one, now you can blend it right in. And there'll probably still be a little bit of a imperfection there, but you won't have that. And obviously this is a good time to do it, is just before you go to the gnats. Now, keep in mind, one of the things I do that a lot of people don't do is maintenance. A lot of people think you build a new plane and you're done. Well, Now, Tsunami, for instance, I've been maybe 15 times already. I've done little touch-ups here, little touch-ups, little spots where the plane's bleeding through, a little where maybe an ink line is starting to wear out. The thinner the paint on the aeroplane, the thinner the paint, the more maintenance you need to keep it. Keep that smooth skin without the little divots popping through. If you go for 10 ounces of clear, an example is Bob Lampione. I know how I love to make fun of this guy. Bob Lampione had 10 ounces of clear on a plane. Well, hell, he's never going to buff through. There's no maintenance on a 10-ounce finish. But if you have a plane that every time you wipe it off, you're starting to get through in spots, now you know you have that minimum amount of paint on it. You've got to do some maintenance to keep it looking nice. And maybe, you know, what you have to do is just like you wipe it off and just like you, whatever, tighten the bolts or whatever. Touching up the paint, keeping it fresh and neat looking, maintenance, keeping it covered with carnauba wax. I've done that on the videos already. Keeping some final shine on there whenever you do a touch-up, keeping little spots that may be chipping or nicking. Every time there's a little crack in a plane somewhere, typically up by the nose, right away the first thing that happens, you wipe the plane off and oil goes down and then it's starting to get in there and oh man, and the oil, now you've got the weight, wood is capillary, it starts picking up this. In fact, Mike Rogers told me his plane at the end of one of the, I'll draw this out, he had the nose, in the V deflector in the nose, and right here in the corner he had a crack, and the oil had gone in, wicked through into the wing joint, into the flap joint, into the tail. By the end of the season, the whole bottom of the plane was like the Exxon Valdez. You got to keep after these little spots, and a good way to do it is when you wipe the plane off, if you see a little crack, chip it out a little bit, get a little paintbrush, at least fill it with paint and build a little bubble up on top of it, so you don't get that capillary action where everything's going down into the paint. I guess this means we're not going flying. Thunder and lightning, Midgley, eat your heart out. Look at this lightning. You believe this? My garden. Oh my God, oh my garden. Ah, look at this. Now this is what happens just before the gnats. Every year you run into all kinds of problems. And I guess part of the thing is you just got to work your way around the problems. Depressing. I hope the weather's better where you are.
Come on, stop, stop. I need practice, I need practice. Oh my God, stop raining. You believe this? This is the life of Wendy. Unbelievable. Now after about 40 minutes of this, you can see the property's almost totally underwater now. Unbelievable. Randy Smith must have sent this rain up here from Georgia. They had terrible rain this week too. Oh my garden! Oh, my garden is all wet. Midgley, it's your fault. Just when I thought I was going to get all this practice, look at this, garbage cans are blowing across the street. Oh my God, what a mess. Damarel's still at Newark Airport. I guess he's not going to land down. Oh my God, they'll probably drop him off in Boston. What a disaster. Fly stunt, have a good time. Hello? Yeah. Hey, Jack, you hear what's going on in the background here? Holy Christ. Now it's nice and early Saturday morning. It looks like we have some completely dead air. There isn't even a leaf moving. Down here at Middlesex with Joe, we want to try what the object of today's test is. We have Walt's big, this is a full-size 13.4. We want to try this on, obviously give a couple flights on Tsunami just to get some feedback. Try it on Joe's plane, and we also have the Red Baron here. So the idea of getting some prop testing done today, that would be really the object more than anything else, is to just trying to finalize what our best 2 or 3 props are before leaving for the Nats. And here's a significant thing. By trying different props and different planes here, we can kind of come up with a little database. Hopefully it's information we could either pass on to you or actually to everybody. Now in Joe's case, what does this weigh right now, Joe? What's a Cardinal weigh?
70 ounces.
This is 70. This is about 62.5 the way it's set up now. So we'll have a you know, a good variation of different weights, different drag, and the air is absolutely, there is not a leaf moving anywhere. After that hurricane yesterday, tree blew down in my neighbor's yard. We got a mess in the yard. It took me all morning to clean up the mess. What a mess. Anyway, we're going to do some prop testing, and we'll hopefully be able to pass the results on to you. You here to play or here to pay? Carlos Serra, world's best video repairman.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Tell them to put that on my paycheck.
Yeah.
How you doing, Joe?
Okay.
What do you want me to do? Take your son's trophy to the Nats?
How are you? Nice to see you.
Hands are off.
Who's not used to?
Carlos, you have that trophy?
Yeah, I have on a car. I don't know if you can take it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll give Joe a lunch and then we'll put it in the car.
It's a huge box. It's a big box.
Oh, then we'll have to charge you extra.
Okay.
This is going to cost about what my last VCR repair cost.
Okay.
What was it, 0 or less than 0?
That'll
Throw in a pizza pie.
I'll do it that way.
Unbelievable. Okay, first flight is going to be on a Brian Ether 12.5. What you got? Oh, you put the AHM on there. AHM.
12.5, 5.
All right.
You going to the Nats show?
Pardon me?
You going to the Nats?
Now, under the conditions you have now, we want to have, the air is totally dead, we want to have the propeller that drives the best. The 13.4 AHM stock prop has real good drive. When it gets breezy, lumpy, later on we'll probably want to go to either one of the carbon props that's de-pitched or the 14.5. But just having the choices of props that we have now, we can hopefully work out some of the
the idiosyncrasies here. Now, a lot of people, what they want to do, and to me it's a mistake, is to have one prop that, you know, it's like one set of shoes that fits everybody. You really need a prop with good whip-up control in the wind. You need a prop with good penetration in dead air or in confined area. Now, you can see the trees are all around us. 3/4 of the circle is covered by trees in Middlesex. And what you need is a prop. You're really not concerned that much with whip-up here. What you're concerned with is penetration. Now, Walt's 3-blade on the flight before this seemed to have real good penetration and real good whip-up control at the same time. We've flown it already in conditions where it really got lumpy, and it seemed to have relatively good whip-up control. So it may be that we're coming up on having a prop that'll be good in both conditions. We'll know more at the end of the day. We're going to get some flights on the Red Baron. We're going to get some flights on, hopefully on this plane with the 3 blades. One of the side benefits, if you can use a 3-blade, 3 blades usually run a little bit quieter. The tip speed is down because of the diameter being less. Usually you get a more muffled sound coming out of the propeller. Not always, but sometimes. Now this is the same prop that we have on Tsunami, the same blades, but in a 2-blade. And of course you always have to cut the 3-blade down some. The number, I think, if I'm remembering right, that Jim gave me was 92% of diameter. When you find an ideal prop, go with 92% of the diameter if you use the same blade. When you're using carbon blades that are real thin and don't have a lot of pitch out at the tip, you probably can even use more diameter. But the thrust of a prop, one of the numbers that's significant is the thickness of the blades at the tip. That's one of the factors that governs thrust. Again, we'll know more after we try this prop on several planes. We plan to spend the better part of the day here. Carlos Serra's here to keep us company and whip us into shape, maybe even shoot some video, who knows. And we're going to be taking a trophy, senior trophy, back to the Nats for him, save him the postage, because he's such a nice guy. Now another thing Joe told me he wants to experiment with today, and we'll be able to do it. He's got a tremendous amount of nose weight in a plane. We're going to try taking out some of the nose weight in conjunction with the prop diameter. If you get rid of the diameter, you'll usually get more turn and nose weight more turn. It might get to be where we have to adjust the handle in. But again, that's a thing to be done one step at a time. And when you have a lot of time like today, and it looks like we're going to have a nice day, maybe the air will stay good for a couple hours even, well, we should be able to get a lot of experimentation done. And we don't know who else will show up. This is, you know, usually a busy field on a weekend. You get a lot of sport flyers and whatever. Last weekend we had one of the guys show up, brought us a cooler full of soda and sandwiches. So we hung around even after the flying session, had a nice time. Now what's nice about the field is it's right in the middle. If Joe comes about 50 miles one way and I come 50 miles the other way, this field is right in the middle of our 2 respective houses. And so we do get a good session in when we show up here. We hit the diner at 7 o'clock in the morning, have a cup of coffee and a bagel, flirt with the waitress, especially the ugly fat ones, and then off to the flying field. Just kidding, Sue. Just kidding, Karen. My wife doesn't go for that stuff. Well, I know Joe's wife doesn't either, but hey. Okay, for a baseline flight. Now we have a baseline flight. We can reach into our bag of propellers and start doing some experimenting. And I hope by the end of the day, you know we take notes on everything. We'll take notes, see what worked, and we'll hopefully know more at the end of the day than we did in the beginning. Well, knowing what we know now, even if nothing else, we know this 2-blade AHM is going to work well. How'd that feel, Joe? Okay? Or does it feel wimpy?
It was wimpy. The engine wasn't running hard.
Yeah, you're a little rich, too.
Yeah, so it's going to take me a while to get grooved in. You're not getting any break at home.
No, I always do that. air is still dead.
Alright, at least this gives the engines a chance to cool down anyway.
Yeah, let them cool down. It's really hot out here today.
It did. It turned out. Now you said my
Paint shine here every night.
block in there. Whole block in there.